What's going on, y'all? Y'all see the title and thumbnail, man. Let's get right into it.
NBA legends and ranking their best years of their career.
Oh, my fault, y'all.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel.
8 seconds
Today,
in.
we're going to be starting a new series focusing in on NBA legends and ranking their best years of their career. And I asked you guys who you wanted to see first, and you guys voted for Michael Jordan. So in this video, I'm going to be ranking the best seasons of Michael Jordan's career. I'm going to be doing it by a tier ranking system. I'm going to have the S tier for Jordan's best years, the A tier, the B tier, the C tier, and the F tier for Jordan's worst years. And before I get into this video, I just want to say when I rank these seasons where I do, I'm holding them to Michael Jordan standards, the highest possible standard for any player. So if you see one year that is a great year in the B tier, just understand I'm holding this to Michael Jordan standards. For an average player, that B tier year may be the best year of their career, but for Michael Jordan standards, it's not in the A tier or the S tier category. So with that out of the way, let's get into the video. So first up in the F tier, as you guys could have guessed, we have Jordan's 2 years on the Washington Wizards. And me personally, I think Jordan's years in the Wizards are actually valuable for his career because it shows he can still play great at an older age. But I do have the 02 as well as the 03 season in the F tier. And Jordan, before his knee injury in 2002, was actually playing some great basketball, averaging 25, 5, and 5. Now, unfortunately, that knee injury would plague him for the rest of his career, but Jordan was still a great skill player. And if you look at his pure skill that he had on fadeaway jump shots for the Wizards, he shot 81.5%, and on turnaround jump shots, he shot 78.4%. So Jordan on the Wizards still had a great amount of skill, but his athletic ability was just simply not there. So that's why I have Jordan's 02 and 03 seasons in the F tier. Now, next up, we have the C tier, and the first year I have is 95 Jordan. This is the year he came out of retirement and played 17 games for the Bulls, wearing the number 45. Now, Jordan, during this time, he was a little bit rusty and not in shape, but he still played some great basketball. He had the famous double nickel at Madison Square Garden, and even had a game winner versus the Hawks. But the one thing everyone always goes to when talking about 95 Jordan is his infamous turnover in Game 1 versus Orlando Magic. Now, the next Jordan year I have in the C tier is 1986. And this year, MJ only played 18
I heard him
games.
I heard him, y'all. I heard him. Somebody said the 1995 Jordan. You know what I'm saying? When he came back out of retirement.
Due to a in Game 1. But the one thing everyone always goes to when talking about 95 Jordan is his infamous turnover in Game 1 versus the Orlando Magic. Now, the next Jordan year I have in the C tier is 1986. And this year, MJ only played 18 games to the Bulls due to a foot injury that kept him out the majority of the year. But when he came back in the playoffs, he came back with a vengeance. And in the first round versus the Boston Celtics, he would average a ridiculous 43.7 points per game, the highest points per game average in a playoff series in NBA history. And he had the highest scoring playoff
that is
ever.
Just, bro, I ain't gonna lie, bro. That is
also had
different,
49
bro.
points in Game 1.
Bro, averaging 43 in the whole series, bro. 44, damn near. You give him 44. 44, 6, and 6. Hey.
Playoff game ever.
Nasty,
67 points, and he also had 49 points in Game 1. But unfortunately, the Bulls lose that series in 3 games and be swept out of the first round by Larry Bird's Celtics.
Oh, it's only a 3-game series?
C tier is Jordan's rookie year in 1985. And this year, Jordan averaged 28.2 points per game, 5.9 assists, and 6.5 boards, and 2.4 steals, while having pretty respectable shooting splits. And this year, Jordan actually led the entire NBA in total points, becoming one of only a few rookies to ever accomplish that. But very similar to 86, Jordan in the first round, he would play great, averaging 29, 9, and 6, with 2.8 steals a game, but this Bulls team was just not ready to win championships or make it out of the first round. So that is why I have 1985 in the C tier, along with 1986 and 1995. Now moving on to the B tier, we're going to get into some of Jordan's deeper playoff runs. But first up, we have 1987, and this year Jordan averaged a ridiculous 37.1 points per game, the highest of his career and the highest since Wilt Chamberlain. And this year, Jordan's scoring ability was absolutely off the charts. He had a 40-point streak of 9 games where he averaged 41.6 points per game on 48% shooting from the field and 87.9% from the line. And during that 9-game stretch, Jordan only attempted 6 3-pointers. Something else is very interesting to note is how consistent Jordan was from month to month. In every single month, he averaged over 35 points per game, his highest month being in February, where he averaged 38.5 points per game. So that right there alone is why I have this year for Jordan in the B tier. Now the next year we have for Jordan is 1990, where once again he was absolutely phenomenal during the regular season, but when it came to the playoffs, he took his play to another level, averaging 36.7 points per game, 7.2 boards, 6.8 assists, and 2.8 steals. And this Bulls team would make it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, and they would take the Pistons to 7 games. Now unfortunately the Bulls, they would lose that Game 7 due to a variety of reasons, but Jordan once again had a great playoff run and a great season. Now the last year I have in the B tier is a very underrated year from Jordan, and that is 1989. And if you want to go purely off stats, this year Jordan averaged 32.5 points per game, that was the most in the NBA, a career high 8.0 assists, and a career high 8.0 boards, as well as 2.9 steals on 54% shooting. Those numbers on its own are very impressive, but there's one thing that really stands out from this year is that Jordan played point guard for the Bulls for 11 games. And in those games, he averaged 34, 11, 11, with 2.9 steals on 51% shooting, had 10 triple-doubles in 11 games, including 7 straight. So,
bro, he was out there moving like Russell Westbrook, plus, like, chill. That's probably gonna sound crazy. Chill.
Jordan 89 was really showing how great an overall
he was moving like
was
Russ plus a few other players though. Y'all know what I'm saying though. With the triple doubles, but he's Jordan.
Had a very underrated.
That's different. He got Jordan's skill set.
And if you ever hear anyone say that Jordan couldn't carry a team,
I don't know, bro. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Playoff run, as that myth will be totally busted. Jordan in this playoff run averaged 35, 7, and 7 with 2.5 steals on 51% shooting, and his supporting cast was absolutely god-awful. You can look at the stats on your screen. No player averaging over 15 points per game, and Pippen and Horace Grant, 2 guys who had not yet entered their prime. Pippen was a decent defender, but he wasn't a prime Scottie Pippen, and Horace Grant as well as John Paxson had not yet entered their prime. So that is why I have Jordan's 89 season in the B tier, along with 87 and 1990. Now let's move on to the A tier and look at some of Jordan's greatest seasons of all time. And the first year I have in the A tier is Jordan's 88 season, where he won MVP as well as the Defensive Player of the Year, averaging 35 points per game, 5.9 assists, 5.5 boards, and 3.2 steals. And this year for Jordan was a historic year on both ends of the floor. He became the first player to ever have a 200 steal, 100 block season. He also became the first player to lead the NBA in points per game as well as steals.
Bro, that is very different. Like, there's not too many words I have for this. This is greatness, if you will.
And he still has the highest points per game average for a Defensive Player of the Year winner in NBA history. So Jordan 88 was once again showing how great he was on both sides of the ball. And when it came to playoffs, Jordan once again was spectacular, averaging 36, 7, and 4 with 2.4 steals. And the biggest highlight from this 88 playoff run is the fact that Jordan had 2 50-point games back-to-back, and he became the first player in NBA history to have multiple 50-point games in a playoff series. Now, the next year I have in the A tier is 1996. And some of you guys might say I'm underrating this year from Jordan, as this was his first full year back from baseball, and he averaged 30 points per game, 6.6 boards, 4.3 assists, and his team had a 72-10 record, at the time, the best record in NBA history. So yeah, this year for Jordan was definitely special, but the reason I don't have it in the S tier category is for a very small and very minute reason, and that is the fact that in the finals, he was not vintage Jordan. He still averaged 25, 5, and 4, but it was on pretty average 41, 31, and 84 splits. And for Jordan standards, in my opinion, that simply does not cut it for being in the S tier. Now, the last year we have in the A tier category is Jordan's 98 season, the last dance season. And I love this year from Jordan for so many reasons. And it's not just because of the stats. They still are good stats. He averaged 29, 6, and 3, but it's really these small details that make me put this in the A tier. Jordan this year was without Pippen for 38 games, and in those games, the Bulls had a 27-11 record, the best in the NBA. And Jordan during that stretch averaged 30.3 points per game, which also led the NBA. And if you watch The Last Dance, you know how difficult this last year was, not just for Jordan, but the whole Bulls team, as well as the organization. And I think those details contribute to this being an A tier season. Also, the way this year ended, with Jordan having 45 points in the finals and a game-winning jump shot, one of the most iconic shots in sports history, that just takes this year to a whole nother level. That's why I have it in the A tier category.
That shot is different.
Was the last year I have in the A tier, and now we move on to the S tier, the highest year for any Jordan season. So the first year I have in the S tier is Jordan's 1997 season, and I believe this is one of Jordan's most underrated years. And like with any Jordan season, he was once again spectacular. He put up great stats and great numbers, but to be in the S tier, there has to be something special that takes it over the top. And for 1997 Jordan, I think it has to be the playoff competition he faced. Based off opponents' win percentage, the toughest championship runs ever, this 97 playoff run ranks second all time, only behind Hakeem's 1995 run. Also, Jordan's Bulls team beat two 60-win teams in this run. Only 5 other teams in NBA history have ever accomplished that. And the last reason I have this in the S tier is because of how great Jordan was in the playoffs, averaging 31.1 points per game, 7.9 boards, 4.8 assists, 1.6 steals, and 0.9 blocks. And out of all those stat categories, he led the Bulls in every single one except rebounds, being only 0.5 behind Dennis Rodman. So Jordan this year, he carried that Bulls team to playoffs, facing some all-time great competition. And that is why I have it in the S tier. Now up next in the S tier, I have Jordan's 1992 season. And why I put this in the S tier has to do with how great Jordan was in the playoffs, averaging 34.5 points per game, 6.2 boards, 5.8 assists, 2.0 steals on 49, 38, and 86 splits.
That's 50,
and right
man.
there, looking at those
give him the
numbers,
50.
I see a player who is flawless and has no holes in his game. And if you wanted to argue that Jordan was not a good three-point shooter in his prime, I would say look to the 92 finals, as in this series Jordan attempted 4.7 threes after facing criticism from the media. And in Game 1 of this series, he had an NBA Finals record, 6 threes in the first half, including 35 first-half points, also an NBA record. And for that series, Jordan averaged 35.8 points per game, 6.5 assists, 4.8 boards, on a ridiculous 53, 43, and 89 splits. So definitely one of Jordan's greatest playoff runs and one of his best finals showings. Now at this point, we're down to 2 seasons from Jordan, 1993 or 1991.
Cold.
These 2 years, I think, by far,
locked
are
in
Jordan's
that moment.
greatest
He
years.
said, nah,
when it came
not
down to
losing
it,
this.
I put 1991 as the second best Jordan year. And this year from Jordan, like with any Jordan run, I keep saying this, but it's true, any Jordan year is a great year. So I really want to focus on how good he was in the playoffs. He averaged 31 points per game, 8.4 assists, the highest for a playoff run where he made the finals, 6.4 rebounds, 2.4 steals, and 1.4 blocks on 52, 39, and 85 splits. So once again, this version of Jordan, to me, has no flaws. He was a great passer. During the 91 run, he was more of a willing passer. He was a great shooter from 3, the mid-range, as well as the free throw line. And if you ever hear someone say that Jordan wasn't a good passer, look to the 91 finals. He averaged 11.4 assists, the most ever for a non-point guard or a player not named Magic Johnson. Now, why I didn't put 91 ahead of 93, I think Jordan 91 had a slightly weaker path to the championship compared to 93. I think that Lakers team, I think they were a good team, but I don't think they're better than some of the teams Jordan faced in 93. So that is why I have it in the S tier, second to only 1993. Now, for why I have 93 as the best overall Jordan season, I think should be pretty obvious. Jordan this year was on an absolute tear, and if you look at the playoffs, he averaged 35, 7, and 6 on 48, 39, and 81 splits in the playoffs. Now, some things I want to focus in on is how consistent Jordan was in every playoff round. In the first round, he averaged 34 game, the second round 31, the Eastern Conference Finals 32, and the finals an NBA record 41 points per game. And like I said, he averaged 35.1 points per game during this playoff run. That is actually the most ever for a player in a championship
40
run.
points in the finals.
And if you want to get very specific and look at the details, after Jordan's Bulls went down 0 to the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals, Jordan proceeded to average the following: 37.6 points per game, 7.7 boards, 7.7 assists, while having 48, 44, and 79 shooting splits, and the Bulls had an 8-2 record en route to the title. And like I said, Jordan in that final series averaged 41 points per game, the most ever in NBA history. So that is why I have 1993 as the best year of Jordan's career. So now that we're done with this list, let's take a look back at the tier ranking system. Once again, in the F tier, we have Jordan's 2 Wizards years. In the C tier, we have 95, 86, and 84. In the B tier, we have 87, 89, and 90. In the A tier, we have 98, 88, 96. And in the S tier, we have 97, 92, 91, and 93. So as always, I want to know your guys' feedback. Which year do you think was Jordan's best year? Which year do you think I underrated? Which year do you think I overrated?
Let me know that in the comments, y'all. Let me know. I know y'all probably gonna definitely let me know which ones y'all believe should be at the top. I really don't know. I ain't lived through it. I ain't really get to feel the moment, so I really don't know, y'all. I really don't know. But if you guys enjoyed this, make sure you click on the last reaction. How the Chicago Bulls went to straight garbage after Michael Jordan left, man, on your screen right now. Turn on post notifications. Links in the description, man. I'm out of here. Appreciate y'all for watching, man.